An update on Gus's status?
Yeah, we'll know a little bit more tomorrow, but it may be a game time decision on him. Probably in a questionable status right now. It's an injury that he's had before, and it normally settles down. But it takes a few days before we really know exactly where he is.
But are you anticipating it maybe being a day-to-day thing and not a
Yeah.
week thing, or is
No,
the potential there that it could linger in?
I definitely see him, but I'm not the doctor and I'm not the trainer. I see him for sure on Saturday. Wednesday, I don't know. It's probably we'll have a better idea. Probably Wednesday.
How bad did it hurt you guys offensively once he went down?
We were donut offense. We just didn't have much inside to go to. Toiling gave us tremendous lift, some great rebounding plays, and knocked down some shots. But it took a major weapon, probably our number one option right now, off the court.
Make you a little bit weary. I know that was something you had talked about before the year, losing one of those post players and what it could do. Just seeing how your team.
Well, I thought the kids fought, very hard during the course of the game. But as time went on, fatigue set in a little bit, and we played the last 7 minutes with 4 guys in foul trouble, 4 fouls. And so they had to be very delicate as to how they, played on defense, because we didn't really want to go, we couldn't go any further into the bench. So it was a tough situation to be in. We've played a lot more zone than we have all year long, probably for my whole career here. And that was basically based out of 2 things. Frazier was such a dominant player for Penn State, and the fact is trying to keep our guys out of foul trouble.
I had listened to your post-game comments. You talked about how in these 2 games you guys weren't able to cut the head off the snake or something like that, where their primary scorer took control of the game. The Big East has a lot of guys who can take control of games.
Yeah, and this is the early part of the season, so if we can't do it from a one-on-one situation, there are other schemes we have to look at. We just haven't implemented those things right now, whether it's double teaming the ball or running people at someone, or just giving extra help off of somebody else who maybe isn't as effective. So we did not do a good job when it came to Bazemore for ODU, and I thought he was the deciding factor at the end of the game for ODU, and Frazier was obviously the guy making all the plays for Penn State. Those 2 guys dominated the play, and we didn't do a good job of slowing those guys down and maybe taking them out of the equation.
I know you guys were crunched with a lot of games in a short amount of period, and you weren't able to practice a lot. So in these next couple of days, are you able to implement sort of those other schemes to focus on?
Well, one, we wanted to really clean up some fundamental things offensively. The turnover bug came back to haunt us this weekend. We can't go down that road again. It's just a no-win situation. So we were really, on our guards, our perimeter guys, as well as our post players. We've got to make simple plays, and we've got to get open. We've got to work to get open. We've got to be strong with the basketball. We've got to make the easy plays. So we really harped on ball possessions and really treating that ball like it's gold.
Let's talk about the opportunity to bounce back at home this week. You got a couple games.
Yeah, we learned a lot about our basketball team over this weekend. And going into it, I probably would have been happy if we were right now 4-1 with 1 game behind where I thought we'd be. So we've got to play catch up, and it starts Wednesday. We've got to get back on the right track. We've got to fix the things that were problems for us this past weekend. And I do think we have a good chance of having Anthony Collins in the lineup, which will really shore up our ball handling pretty good.
Do you think he'll be back Wednesday? For sure?
Mm-hmm. I do. I don't think he's a 40-minute guy, but I think we can get glimpses of him during the game. He'll give us some minutes.
When all 3 are completely ready, how do you go about splitting the minutes?
With Poland?
Yeah, with Collins, Nash, and Doherty.
Blake, I could see moving over to the 2. I definitely think he's a guy who can score the ball, and those 2 guys together, even though they're a little bit smaller, they can be passed out there and make some things happen. So he would be the guy I'd see that could play a little bit of both those positions, play them a little bit more as a combo.
You said before the turnover ball kind of came back, stretches of not scoring for a little bit. What do you do to try to get rid of that?
Well, one, I think for whatever reason, we were lackadaisical with the ball. I don't know why we hadn't been in the previous games, not to the level that we were in this game. But we just have to focus our attention in that area. I think every time, whether it's free throw shooting, whether it's rebounding, when I've really drawn the attention, watched the film, broke things down with the players, it seems like we've done a nice job responding. So this is the same challenge in front of them.
been getting a lot of production early from Nash on the offensive end. Is it a surprise that he's coming on so early on the offensive end, and how nice is it for you to have that?
Well, it's good to have him there. It really isn't a surprise. We recruited him as a guy who could score. He averaged 22 in junior college, and the defensive side was the early part where he was really struggling. I thought in the last couple games, if there was a couple positives that came out this weekend, I thought Nash was much more solid on the defensive end and really was probably our best offensive player yesterday. And I thought Torrin Fitzpatrick really stepped up as well in the last ball game.
Stan, not taking anything away from Penn State, but there was the potential to see a team like Kentucky. How disappointed were you that you just weren't able to square up on them, just to see how maybe you guys stack up against that elite level type of competition? More so probably of what you'll see in the Big East as opposed to maybe what Penn State.
Personally, and I think our players too, personally, we really did want to, kind of get a feel for where we were against the Kentucky team. I've seen North Carolina on TV, and I've seen Kentucky now up close and on TV. I think clearly those are the two most talented teams in the country. And, to get a true measurement of where you are exactly, you probably could get hammered, but at the same time, you can really get a chance to see where you are. And I thought Old Dominion, played them fairly well.
Yeah, well, I was going to say it might give you a little bit more confidence going into a matchup at Kansas, which is tough enough to play, but maybe you do play Kentucky a little bit tough and get some confidence
it helps you
going.
down the road, no question. But we just, it didn't happen. I don't think we can look in hindsight and look at it that way. We just, I was looking forward to it. I think our players were. It just didn't happen. And now we just got to move forward.
Looking forward to getting back home here?
What's that?
Looking forward to playing back home?
Oh, we are. We're looking back to getting back on the court. You always, when you play a couple games, and the Old Dominion game, it's funny, I ran into Blaine Taylor at the airport. He said the same thing. He said I was thinking when we were in overtime, whoever loses this game, it's going to be hard to bounce back the next night, knowing that, you just drain so much energy. And we've got, Penn State who, at that time when you play Kentucky, looked like they lost by 4. They're awful, but it's not a bad basketball team. That's a team that went to the NCAA tournament last year.
Stan, I know you guys have been limited with injuries with Collins out and with Jawan's out. Who on this team right now is not giving you what you need?
I definitely am, and I've told him, Hugh Robinson. He's a senior for me. I definitely feel like there's more things he can do, especially from the offensive standpoint, than what he's doing. He's been good defensively, but I thought last year he was very good. And so I do think that he's a guy that we can get more out of. I don't know, kind of what's tinkering around in the head right now, why he's not where he's supposed to be. But we definitely want to encourage him to give us more.
You talk about the offensive. I know last year he was really passive in what he wanted to do with the ball. There were numerous times when he had open shots and just decided to pass them up. And even he thought he was playing passive at times during the season. Is that what you're looking for? Is he just not hitting shots, or do you want to see him be more assertive?
I don't think he's really looking. I mean, he's playing close to 25 minutes a game, and I think he's taking 4 3-point shots. And I know he's been open a lot more than just 4 times to take those kind of shots. I've not told him not to shoot the ball.
Do you need to tell him to shoot it?
I guess. I mean, I certainly have said in different ways that we need you to be more productive offensively. And, it's, everybody has their own makeup, and one of them is his. I don't know if he sees himself as a shooter scorer, but I definitely think he can't look at himself as a guy who's not an offensive player, and we start playing 5-on-4 basketball.
Does it hurt at all maybe that last year he was a starter and this year he's been primarily coming off the bench?
Well, I started him the last 2 games.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I started him the last 2 games, and to be honest with you, I think he was playing better coming off the bench. I thought it's different. Florida Southern game was much more effective, much more aggressive than the 2 games he played.
Even in Marist, I think he had 8 or 9.
Yeah. So I think we're backwards. I think he got to go back to the bench.
Obviously, Jawanza still has a suspension to serve, but how close is he to getting healthy and starting to serve that?
I don't know exactly the time frame that's kind of been handled, but he's going to get evaluated Monday, and Monday we'll know if he's cleared to go. And so if that's the case, then those next 2 games will be the ones he'd be done with.
Thanks,
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.